Okay. I'm doing this now because if I wait, then I'm not gonna do it. So here we are. Today, I'm going to talk to you about authenticity. Now, what does that mean? We live in a world where everyone is doing something to be seen in a certain way because they see themselves in a certain way and they need that to be reinforced through other people. And so most conflict doesn't come from actual survival things. It comes from social pressure. And this is the reason why most people do not express themselves freely, genuinely. Instead of saying what you feel, you say what you think is going to translate the best. And it doesn't mean that everyone's doing that. It doesn't mean, it's just a baseline. Our social standard is not be real with each other and embrace each other on a common ground. We have an artificial construct that we call common ground, but it is failing every day. And that's why we have things that happen that are bad, that shouldn't happen. Like mass shootings and violence in general, and corruption, and people taking advantage of each other for financial gain, and even political stuff where people, that's my cat, where people want to control other things because they've been controlled themselves. So you, yourself, me, myself, everyone individually has a chance to be yourself. But you can't do that while you're everyone else too. And so you have to figure out what's the difference. And for everyone, that's a journey. For me, it started December of 2020 because that was the last time that I dosed LSD, and it had been helping me, well, as much as any self-administered psychoactive compound can help someone when they're self-medicating with it. But I would use it, every few months or every twice a year, whenever it came about, to reorder myself to use this chemical trigger in order to make space, make time for myself that wouldn't regularly be allowed to have an introspective meeting with my conscious and unconscious selves to understand and reflect on what it is that I'm projecting, what I'm receiving, how I'm ordering the data that is coming into me. And I'd always been given different messages and different things to work on every time that I went on these journeys. It wasn't oh, let me get high and get, I don't even know really what other people do while they're tripping, to be honest. It seems like they just put themselves in weird situations. And not to say that I didn't put myself in weird situations, but I was always in a weird situation, and I think a lot of my trips were coming to terms with what that meant, coming to realize a lot of the things that people in my life hadn't taken the time to share with me and walk me through. So December of 2020 was the last time that I tripped, and I had this journey within myself, by myself, in a safe environment, and there was no unsafe thing about it. I mean, the only danger to myself would have been me. But I'd been experienced for a while, and it wasn't a lot. So, but it was enough to have a really deep journey, and I saw myself in a different way. I saw that for whatever experience I was having, it only mattered to myself. I didn't really care all that much to figure out a way to properly get it across, at least the things that I wanted to. It seemed like I was always holding myself back in some way or another. There was a blockage when it came to what I have to share and just doing that. It seemed like I was saying before, I was ordering it in a way because I wanted it to be seen in a certain way, understood in a certain way, instead of just allowing it to be. And I found that in order to be myself, I needed to find a way to prove within myself that these feelings and these thoughts and these understandings that I'd come to were within me already. It wasn't a result of just taking drugs, because in order to help people in any kind of way, you have to be able to relate to them. And I'd like to relate to as many people as I can. So that means putting myself in a similar position. Most people aren't gonna go out and take drugs. So I have to know what that is. Like, what does that mean? What are the drawbacks of that? There are a lot of people like me that have done things in the past, and now, it's been a while now, and yeah, I could hit up a couple people or whatever and figure out a way to get high, but that's not the point. The point is that I've come all this way to be able to communicate things and know that it's not because I'm high on acid and to know that I mean what I'm saying. Like, it's not someone else pulling my strings. It's not something in me making me do something that I wouldn't actually want to do. Like, my point is that in order to find yourself, sometimes some of the deepest things about yourself are the ways that you go about maintaining yourself have to be put into question. And when you do that, the most important things come into focus, like reality. We are all living in a certain fantasy, and that is your own world. That's within you. And not to say that's not real, but that only exists within you, and as much as you can allow that to be expressed. But really truly is allowing it to come out, because it's not something in your control. And I think that's the real point here. Authenticity is just opening the floodgate. It's just allowing yourself to be, and to not need these other things to be excuses or reasons why you are the way you are. You either are independently of everything else, or you are because other things are the way they are. And that's okay if that's the case, if that's easier. But in your authentic self, if you truly knew that and lived that, you'd be living differently. Most people are living inauthentically, and so it's like their soul has to kill their body from the inside out through disease or misdirection or weird impulses, but to try to pull the body out of whatever path that that it's on because it doesn't want to die, like suffocated, trapped in this thing and doing whatever things that you're forcing it to do, because that's what it is. I mean, look at the world. Look, we force it to do everything that we want it to do. But what is we? What is he? You know what I mean? Like we are decisions, we're understandings, we are cooperations among so many other people, and a relay race of all of their efforts to today, where we have the most hardworking people keeping the system going and making it better to move it on, and they aren't given the proper respect because we'd rather glorify the people that are doing the least amount and profiting off of, I mean, the same thing that advertising is weaponized for at least the last 40 years, 50, 60. I mean, everything that we learn how to do gets turned around. And so that's not on accident. We have a defense mechanism within ourselves that doesn't allow us to go too far away from what we know. The problem is that who we are is not connected to what we know. Who we are is just already here. What we know is that you show up for it every day, and how much you decide that it matters. That's how much love you put into yourself. If it doesn't matter to you, then it doesn't matter to anyone else. And so to be authentic, to be yourself, you have to care. You have to be like, this matters, and to know it, to not believe in it, but to know it, because it can change. You're supposed to change. But if you know it, then you know what's changing. But if you don't know it, then, I mean, you're just faking it. And that's fine. But it's better to acknowledge that you're faking it than to pretend like it's as good as it gets. Because it's not. It can be so much better. And I think that's it. You just gotta do you. That's pretty much the end of the last video that I made. You gotta do you. Alright, well, I gotta go check on my cat.